Now, I made this video from pictures that I have taken of a trip that I made to Daytona to a bike auction that had some pretty interesting things for sale. I unfortunately didn't have the money to buy any of these high-end bikes, but there were a couple of things worth sharing here, and I thought the people that follow my channel would enjoy seeing this photo show. Now, what happened is I have been away from motorcycling for a few weeks now, and my wife is recovering from surgery, so I've had time to go back into the computer and look up some of these old pictures, and this is one that I thought would be worth sharing. Now, there are some nice motorcycle photographs in here, and it ends with what I think is some interesting thing of how I got into restoring some of the motorcycles that I restored over the years. Now, as I look back at this was quite a nice vacation. We were hosted in Daytona by Scott and Ray Straub, and we just had a great time. We rode across the whole width of Florida from Tampa to Daytona. Had a great time, and we shot lots of pictures of the trip. I have those made for a separate video, but this is about 100 pictures, I think, of a bike auction that we went to. Now, at this point in time, I was still looking to add bikes to my collection. I'm not anymore. I have one bike from every 10-year period that I've been alive almost. And I was still looking, but the problem is at these high-end indoor auctions, and this one was an indoor and an outdoor auction, the prices were really off the chart. So, but anyway, we did get some nice pictures, and I'll just describe some of the bikes that I think are worth mentioning. And there's one right there, Water Buffalo. I had one in '72. I went on to convert it into a cafe racer, which I raced for several years. Bultaco. I had Bultaco road racers and dirt bikes both. I've never had a BMW. Hey, but well, most of my friends enjoy BMWs, and hey, there were a few nice ones down there. And of course, the Yamaha dirt bikes. These are collector bikes. Almost every bike in the show was whistle clean, restored. This one I see has a little pan underneath it to catch the oil. I'm not sure what that's about. Ah, some of the old Ducatis. Ah, would I love to have that in my collection. And this bike in particular, I took so many pictures of this bike. I was really ready to put a final bid on the offer. And then reality set in. They really got top dollar for this bike. This was a really sweet older Brutale, and I just thought this was just a classic looking bike that would have fit in my collection beautifully. Well, it never happened. Well, and as I look back, yeah, I saw Joe Roselli had pretty much the same bike, and he loved it. Kind of slipped through my fingers, but I went on to get 9 motorcycles in my collection, and I love all 9 of them. Beside the whole point here, the trip, the unusual bikes that I had never been familiar with. There were a few CBXs, and I don't have all the bikes from the indoor and the outdoor part of this. There were some outdoors, some indoors. Some people just pulled up and put a for sale sign on their bike. I guess I'm not sure what that was all about. Anyway, and I really had my eye on that Water Buffalo, and that thing went for ultra top dollar, if I remember right. Not even close to what I would pay for it. And of course, the usual bikes that people collect, the British bikes. Some of the older Kawasaki's, again, super top dollar. Some of these were really immaculate, really nicely restored, and there was just no end to it. And of course, the triples, the H1 and the H2. Some of the bikes, you just can't even imagine how nice and clean and polished and everything, and that's why they get top dollar for these. And some of the older bikes here, Vincent. Some of the bikes that, and one of the original Goldwings, the older ones. Frank had one of these. My friend Frank, Ray's brother, had one similar to that. It was kind of a little microcosm of the history of motorcycling. The older Ducatis, which all went for top dollar. These were really immaculate. And of course, a rotary, an R5. I'm not even sure what that was gone before you could even start. The bidding was through the roof. And that one looked like a bike that somebody had in their collection. Because a lot of these bikes that are in collections never get driven. So if they had 10,000 original miles and they were stored in a museum, they never get old. You know, it's if they stored me in a museum, maybe I wouldn't get old either. Some of the really nice, just sport bikes, some dirt bikes, some custom cafe bikes, pretty much some of everything. And that's what made this show worth driving to. And part of this whole trip down to Florida was I wanted to see several of my friends, and I did get to see them, and I did get to become friends with a fellow named Scott, who hosted us in his personal house, Ray Straub, of course, and I got to see some things. And I'm from Florida. I'm originally born in Pensacola, so going back to Florida was very nice for me and loaded with a lot of good memories and things that I just love about going to a bike auction and seeing what other people are willing to pay for some of these things. And what happened during this show, it got me excited about the idea of restoring some. I had not restored a bike in several years, and I decided when I was down there, it just turned out to be one of the ironic things we didn't plan on, and that's how everything seems to happen in my life. What happened is Ray Straub still had one of my original Yamaha race bikes that had been drag raced, had been in AMAR, had been through several accidents, but he still had the original bike. Oh, nice Guzzi here. And what had happened is, in the course of this show right here is what got me excited about doing the restoration. So when we went back to Tampa, back to Ray's house, and here's Ray and my late friend Art Thomas here on the blue bike. And that's Scott and his pup. And Scott, thank you so much for hosting us. And here's Scott's car. And he went all the way to Texas to pick this up. He took us for a ride on this, and this was a ride. I have it on video too, not on still pictures. We had a nice ride. And some of the other friends that showed up at Scott's, and they had some custom bikes and this and that. But here is my 1973 Yamaha. What was left of it? They had a wheelie bar on it from drag racing it. Ray lives near a drag strip. And I got to ride the bike down there. And when I rode it, I made a deal with Ray. He comes up to Jersey, brought me the bike. It took me a year to restore it with the help of Luciano. We restored it to absolute beautiful condition. And at the end of it, I got to ride it for 6 months or so before Ray took it back. But I liked it so much, and it was coming up on Valentine's Day, and Karen said, you know, you like that RD? I'm going to buy you one. And she bought me this bike. Now, it wasn't looking like this when I bought it. It looked more like the one Ray had. It was in rough shape. But anyway, here's my RD and Ray's RD. We wanted a few pictures we have of the two of them together. And I went on to really, it spurred my interest in two-strokes, which stays to this day. And I've owned many, many two-strokes over the years, H1s, H2s, GT750 Suzukis. But anyway, and that was the beginning of me making my YouTube channel, which now has over 2,000 videos. And we post up when we're not recovering from surgery almost every day. My channel is Windy Space U, and you can type it in quotation marks, and then any subject from carbon fiber to riding to restoration to custom wheels, and you'll get some pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to share these pictures while we're kind of on a little self-imposed sabbatical, and hope the people that watch my channel every day enjoy it. This was a really memorable time of my life, and I'm so happy the way it turned out, because it really renewed my interest in restoring motorcycles, and it lingers to this day. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.